Dr. Harold Sonny White is a physicist and aerospace engineer specializing in advanced propulsion, particularly warp-drive physics. Formerly leading NASA's Advanced Propulsion Team at Johnson Space Center, he is now the founder and CEO of Casimir, a deep tech startup focused on developing breakthrough power-generating nanotechnology. Casimir's innovations have the potential to transform sustainable energy on Earth and may lay the groundwork for future advancements in interstellar propulsion systems.
Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the goddamn internet. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about this new guest, Sonny White, that I just showed you, that was on the Joe Rogan Experience, and he has some really interesting shit to say. So stay till the end because the absolute bombshells are there. Okay, keep watching, stay with me. Subscribe, notifications on, like, comment, share. All this helps so much, you have no idea. Just interact with the video. We do daily uploads. Excited to have you joining the community. And Patreon down below, TikTok and X. So without further ado, let's watch this video. Today's a good one. Stay with me, okay?
Occurred in late December 1980 near RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters, U.S.-operated air bases in Suffolk, England. Over several nights, military personnel reported unusual lights and a possible craft in the forest.
Guys, look at this motherfucking UFO tourism, am I right? Is this going to be normalized now? Are countries doing this? This can't be the reason, right? Doing this to build these spots where they can, you know, bring tourists, have all these signs up like a UFO museum. I know there's quite a few countries that does this. Yeah, it's really interesting, but I don't know if it's driven by that, you know. Let me know what you think about this kind of stuff in general.
On December 26th, servicemen, including Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, observed a glowing object moving through the trees, emitting colored lights. Some reported a triangular craft with hieroglyphic-like markings. Physical evidence included radiation traces and ground indentations. Halt recorded the investigation on tape, later made public. Official explanations attributed the sightings to a lighthouse, meteor, or misidentified aircraft, but witnesses, including Halt, disputed this, insisting the phenomena were extraordinary.
I'd be really interested in the insignias and markings on these ET craft, NHI craft, right? Like the meaning of it, like is that like connected to the higher dimension? You know, there's a lot of like law when speaking in religious studies terms where some words in certain ancient languages hold power, right? And then you got the Vatican supposedly having like so much documentation on demons and like exorcists, like, you know, it's really weird because it gives a lot of credibility to it, and but it's just not verifiable. And then,
but when you hear what happened in that Rendlesham Forest thing, it breaks all of my guessing machine, and I it's like,
what is the story?
It's a colonel and some airmen reported some weird stuff that was going on in Rendlesham Forest. Yeah, and they went out and tried to investigate it, and they saw some. Again, I'm doing such a terrible job of summarizing it because I don't really know the lore very well. But
here it is, right here.
Everything they saw was very bizarre and crazy looking.
We can read it.
Right?
It says 40 years ago, a remote forest in Suffolk was the scene of one of the most famous purported UFO sightings in history. So, just what did happen? And will we ever know for sure? Victor Thurn Kettle was out chopping wood one morning in Rendlesham Forest in late December 1980 when a car drew up. Out stepped two men, aged about 30, dressed in suits. "Good morning. Do you mind if we ask you some questions?" asked one in a well-spoken English accent. Earlier, on 26 and 28 of December, United States Air Force security personnel stationed at nearby RAF Woodbridge had reported seeing strange lights in the surrounding forest. Forestry worker, Mr. Thurn Kettle, unannounced and unidentified visitors asked if he had been out the previous night. I said no, he recalls. They said, "Did you leave the house at all? Did you see anything?" I said, "What?" They said, oh, there's a report of some red lights in the forest. We're just checking. And the two men, very politely but firmly, asked me probably about 20 questions. I thought they were journalists. They suddenly said, oh, well, fair enough. There's probably nothing in it, and left. So I bought the papers every day for the next few days to find out what was going on. And, of course, there was nothing. 3 years later, however, sightings made the news of the world front page story. It proclaimed UFO lands in Suffolk, and that's official. The story was based on a memo from RAF Woodbridge Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt to the Ministry of Defense. It was released by the U.S. government, described as an encounter with an apparent UFO in the forest. Since then, the sightings have been the source of much debate and speculation among UFO enthusiasts and the subject of numerous books, articles, and TV programs. In March, a documentary concluded the sightings had achieved legend status like the Loch Ness or King Arthur. The forest even has its own official UFO trail, complete with a life-size replica, go back up, of the flying saucer. And this is the replica with like the Hamza thing on it, that hand thing. Bizarre. Thurn Kettle, UK authorities have said they didn't learn about the incident. Okay, but what is the story, though? Let's get to, like, what is the story? Scroll down more. What does it say? Yeah, and that gets into the stuff that it doesn't make sense in terms of what they describe the UFO doing. It's just very peculiar, right? So, yeah, they got there. My heart absolutely plummeted. There was nothing. It was an absolute normal glade in the forest with 3 rabbit scrapes. They're all carefully marked. It happened to be roughly a triangle. Okay, what else does it say? What is the sighting? Burn marks on trees, but what's the sighting?
I can show you what the UFO looked like, but
okay,
I mean,
sure. That's what they said it looked like? Yeah. Whoa. And it had those markings on it?
I Googled it. My Google search said that Grush brought it up when he was on here, but I couldn't find like even clips about it, so I don't know that we went that deep into it.
How bizarre is it that it has that symbol? What is that? That's an ancient Hindu symbol, correct? That Hamza symbol?
I don't know.
These are different symbols.
Oh, they're different. Yeah. That looks very weird. Yeah. Huh. So what about this one stands out to you?
I put this one in the category of I don't understand if it's a real account, right? I mean, so I think when you have a lieutenant colonel that's reporting something as factual, I tend not to just immediately dismiss it.
Right.
But and it's not just him; it's several people around him. What they described, right, doesn't make sense to me, right? Mm-hmm. You know, in terms of the David Fravor talking about the Tic Tac, I can kind of that's not totally alien to me. I could, it's trying to maneuver with the aircraft and it's maneuvering to their cap or whatever the case may be. And I can kind of connect the dots with that. But the Rendlesham Forest thing, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, what about it doesn't make any sense?
What they saw, why it was doing what it was doing.
What was it doing?
It just was out in the woods. It was out in the woods, with blinky lights and doing weird stuff.
So, Nick Pope, the actual Nick Pope, had so much to say about this specific case, and it's quite a connection to make here, guys. So make sure you stay with me and check this out. This is pretty much the end of the video, so the good parts are here. Let me know if you made it thus far in the comments down below. Please, any thoughts, any interaction, it all helps out a ton, okay?
Rendlesham Forest incident from the UK, sometimes called Britain's Roswell, although it wasn't a crash, it was actually a landing. But that's a great case because you've got everything in this single incident that makes a case compelling. It took place over 3 consecutive nights. It involved multiple witnesses. Most of them were military. The UFO was briefly tracked on radar. And best of all, it left physical trace evidence, burn marks on the ground and scorch marks up the sides of some of the trees. This Rendlesham Forest lies between 2 United States military bases in the UK, and the deputy base commander, who was very skeptical about sightings on the 1st and 2nd night, he himself saw this thing on the 3rd night, and the file, or the Ministry of Defense file on this, has been declassified and released. So it's not just stories. There's a paper trail that people can follow. So I think that's case number 1.
FlyingSaucery.com? I guess there could be some relevant information there. I've found stuff on UFO websites myself. I guess we're all using the same sources? Let's take a closer look at the Rendlesham Forest case that Nick has brought up. We'll dive deeper into a special clip from a YouTube show called The Basement Office. It's co-hosted by Stephen Greenstreet and Nick Pope.
Well, this is December 1980. Personnel saw these strange lights in the forest, thought that maybe an aircraft had come down and was burning. So they went out, of course, to investigate and found not a crashed aircraft, but a landed UFO. John Burroughs and Jim Penniston, who, out of the people who went to investigate, were the two who actually then went forward to approach the craft.
Later in the Basement Office episode, they interviewed Jim Penniston about what he saw. Here's an excerpt from that clip.
As I got closer to the craft, the fabric of the craft where this color was running through, it finally just dissipated and stopped. And all that left was the black opaque craft, which was shiny in nature. And I would describe it as looking like black glass. And it was obvious it was not U.S. Air Force craft.
This is real declassified audio from the Rendlesham Forest UFO incident, taken by Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt.
So guys, this is like super official. This is the actual audio that you're going to be hearing right now. So just prepare yourself, put yourself in that mental state to where you can listen to this and interpret the environment and with what emotion anything is said or reacted to, right? I think that's important to not just dismiss this just immediately, okay?
305, we see strange strobe-like flashes to the rather sporadic, but there's definitely something, some kind of phenomenon. It's moving out fast. There's one on the right away too. Yeah, we're both heading north. Okay, here he comes from the south. He's coming toward us now. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground.
Jesus Christ, this is like a movie. This officer, this highly respected, top-ranking official, there's a beam coming down to the ground. Guys, what? What? Right?
The initial sighting, 3 a.m. on December 26th, when the airmen saw something apparently descending into the forest, coincided with the appearance of a bright fireball over southern England, and such fireballs are a common source of UFO reports. The supposed landing marks were identified by police and foresters as rabbit diggings. No evidence has emerged to confirm that anything actually came down in the forest.
Listen, today especially, do not hesitate to let me know what you think about this in its entirety, okay? What your reaction was to that part. I'm really curious, and I'd love to hear some things, especially about this. Yeah, I really enjoy this type of things when they come out, right?
And that's where the government actually stepped in and covered your medical expenses, correct?
No, they didn't step in. They were forced.
Okay. Well.
Okay. And what I mean by that was it was a long process, and it started with one senator's office where they looked for my records and couldn't get them. And then the aide that was working on that had dealt with other cases and came back and told me in a letter that my records were classified and I had to file for disability to expose the records inside the VA, which I did. And the VA would not grant access, or the DOD would not even grant access to the VA people trying to review my case, including the doctors. And they lied about my time in service. They actually came back and denied I was in from 79 to 82. And all my medical and personnel records, well, all my medical records from the time I came in till today are classified. And my personnel records from 79 to 82 were classified.
Imagine being such a classified person that you literally do not even fucking exist. That's the state we are at.
you pass out jokes about roofies, making girls kiss, marry a man. Giant sombrero, show us your titties. Creatine shakes, marry a man. Spring break, y'all. Oh shit, I'm too fucked up. Puke and rally, that's what's up. Booze crew, raise your glass. Sword that coke, off her ass. Two chicks at the dance hall, take it